Good evening. Welcome to Something to Talk About. Tonight, I think a pretty fun conversation. You may not want to hear that coming from a girl's mouth, but yeah, football on Guam is a really big deal among females. Tonight, we're going to be speaking, really, she's the godmother of tackle football, I think, on Guam, and engaging women to play a sport that women most of the time really don't play. We're talking to Linda Salas this evening. Come on, let's do some talking. Hey, welcome back to Something to Talk About. Thanks for joining us again. Remember, we're at King's Restaurant in Tamuning. In a couple of minutes here, they're going to bring us a Chester platter. This is like something that we do. We have food all the time sitting at the table. We're at King's. I mean, why wouldn't we talk food? Talking football tonight. I know. Talking football tonight, Linda Salas. She actually runs the Bud Light Guam Women's Tackle Football Association. Yeah, but she has. I said that you were like the godmother of women's tackle football on Guam. Don't you think that you are?
In a sense, yes, for bringing it here to Guam.
Yeah.
But not to, it's as far as credibility as a player, I think I lack that because I'm too late. You know,
You're too late as in what? In
playing,
in
playing and
yeah,
proving something to
Yeah.
the island that, I can say I played 5-10 years, or I played and I got like MVP award.
Yeah.
That's one thing I lack.
Yeah. But that's okay, because the credibility is there because you have the foundation. You have great knowledge. Now, let me tell you about this chick right here. I actually met her watching, I think it was a playoff game, or was it the Super Bowl?
It was
or
the Super Bowl at UOG.
Yeah.
It was Pittsburgh Steelers versus
and she came up to
Seattle.
me, and you were wearing a Steelers shirt, and we were running the show. We were running the program live on television that year, and I ran into her, and we just started talking, and I'm like, this is a girl who's like really knowledgeable about football, NFL football, by the way. And then I ran into you a couple of times in a couple of watering holes where we were watching playoffs or something, but it was always centered around the conversation of football. And here's the interesting thing, that because a lot of women don't know, as we thought at the time, a lot of women didn't engage in the sport.
Right.
We were the girls that were watching from, but I learned football spectating from behind, behind the couch.
Right.
When everybody was in the house screaming. My mother was a screamer when it came to football. But I learned the game, and I learned the rules, and I learned the strategies by watching other people watching football.
Yes.
And
that's
so
true.
you're in a house full of boys?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's how I learned a lot of it from, is watching at the same time, especially being a spectator on the sidelines, just watching the teams, go at it since high school. You're talking about like JFK versus GW, you got those collegiate schools competing against each other, my brother playing for those teams. And I think GW was the championship during my high school years. And then followed by that, I mean, every year, what's the most important game of every year in like January, February timeframe? It's the Super Bowl.
The season with Super Bowl, yeah.
The Super Bowl was one game we always had to watch. I couldn't turn the channel 10 because I'm right there with my brothers watching it.
Yeah.
And we still do. We come together.
So did they teach you the game, or is it because you were just in the environment? It was just part of the way your house was.
Part of it is being there with my brothers. It was hard learning because at times I wanted to ask them a question, but I felt like they would punch me. Because
I know.
Being with brothers who love.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, they were very aggressive and very competitive, and they'll be looking at me like you don't know what.
No, you know what? That's absolutely true, because I had to learn, instead of question a call or what did that mean, I had to do some really quick fact checking.
Right.
Because you don't want to look stupid.
Exactly.
About stuff like that.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Which is better than watching baseball, because baseball is full of stats.
Right.
Right. So
yes.
anyway, so you learned how to play. Did you learn how to play football with them? Did you ever actually play the game?
Yes.
On a team.
Of course, during my high school, my elementary, middle school years, everything was backyard. Catching with my brothers, just throwing the ball like a quarterback would do. And I think that was one of my strengths, was throwing, being quarterback all the time, was just learning to throw the ball. I wish I had that strength that I can still do it, like throwing from like maybe starting at a 10-yard down to a 30. I could say I did it. Now I'm losing
How
that
many-
power and strength.
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore because, you know, age is kicking in. But
What?
hey,
Yeah.
but it's true. I mean, my high school friends and even some of the guys I know from high school can claim that I can throw. I just don't.
She
I can't
has
throw.
witnesses.
I
No,
can-
that's
I can't-
important, though. That's
I
important.
can throw, but I don't have that.
You don't have the ability as much now. You don't have the strength
Exactly.
much now.
That's true.
What's your strongest position?
Wow.
think?
I wish I could say I could play it, but how could I give myself credit for a?
I mean, what would be your strongest position? Like,
Oh, I would love to play quarterback.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's my strongest.
well, if you can throw,
Or I wouldn't mind being running back.
yeah, yeah, but you got to run. That's the only, without falling, without having an asthma attack.
Well, the running back is the ones like behind the quarterbacks
Yeah.
because they're the ones who punch in the most needed yards. Like if you think of the guy in Pittsburgh Steelers, the bus, they call him the bus. Like he has big thighs.
Yeah.
That's how I see myself. When you need the needed yards, those
Yeah,
are the
when you
kind.
need yardage, you're the girl.
Yes,
The big
that's what
thigh
I
girl.
wouldn't
No,
mind
hey,
putting in.
Something's got to be
'cause-
said about people with big thighs. That's for sure. So, as you were growing up and you were engaging, how did the Steelers? How did you become a Steelers fan? Was that your brothers?
Yes.
Or, okay, so you sort of followed suit. It was like a
Yes,
family thing.
right. It was a family thing.
Geez, what have the Steelers
And-
done lately, anyway?
And Steelers always been known to be one of the teams with the most Super Bowl rings.
Mm-hmm.
They've got it from the 70s, early, some 80s, maybe once or twice in the 90s. They're a very tough, competitive team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where I look at myself when it comes to
Because
the Steelers.
but you are competitive. You're high strung too. I've seen this girl. You're really high strung.
I
Yeah,
do.
it's like you can't get her to react to pretty much anything more. But if you see her on a field watching, it's amazing. Or
Thank
when
you.
when you see her watching a game, when you're watching a game, that's what's really because you're into it. You're completely into it. So we were talking about learning the game, learning about the teams, learning about the history by watching over other people's shoulders.
Correct.
Were you surprised when you founded the original Guam Tackle Women's Football League? This is before sponsorship. This was before
Right.
anybody, big corporations signed onto it. Were you surprised at the number of women that came out to try out for these teams? You had more tryouts than you had teams to put them on.
Yes, and I'll never forget that day. That was sometime in December. We had it at JFK High School. I thought only, a handful, like 15, 20 came out, but close to 50 girls came out. That was enough to make one team. But if we did that right then, I knew me and Marge, the co-founder of this league, she said, let's get at least 2 teams, let this league grow, and it will fold. It will come.
And so they basically just played each other for a season.
Well, we had
Yeah.
3. Won the first season.
Right.
We started off as 2 teams. Then we, due to sponsorships wanting more teams, we got into 4 teams.
Yeah.
So it from there on, it just grew like wild cakes. I didn't even think it was
I
going to
do
be.
remember that. I remember that those conversations we were having about you wanted to start something. You wanted to get women out there, and you
Right.
wanted to. Were you surprised at the knowledge these women had of the game?
Yes. You got 2 types of players in every team. The one who really loves the sport, who has some experience too, who played it in high school, and they bring that knowledge. Then you have the ones who come in as a newbie, who know nothing about it. They had doubts about saying, can a lady really play this? Little did she not know, if you went through the practice and got along with the coaches and players, they kind of regret that they could have done it a year or 2 when they were asked.
Yeah.
Now they love it. There's a lot of players who don't even want to give it up. They want to
Look,
come
our
back
food is
every
coming.
year.
Oh,
Oh, the
thanks,
best
Laura.
part.
I know. The best part about having a show at King's is when they bring the food.
Thank you.
This is called the Chesa platter, by the way, and this is that's Tanana Kutney, and you know the rest. I know. Sorry, I'm giving you Tanana Kutney in the middle of the day. But so you were surprised and impressed by the amounts of women that came out,
Yes.
and then the people who didn't know anything about the football
Right.
game,
There's a
about
lot.
football, and wanted to play anyway. I bet you they were pretty fast learners too.
Yes.
Yeah. once you put them on the field, do they have an idea of what they were they were doing?
And a lot of that accounts for the coaches also that we have. Every team has a coach that is so passionate about the sport, and they want to make sure they teach every girl the basic that they need to know, saying this is your role that you need to do in the field, whether it's blocking a player this way there or catching the ball. Depends, there's 11 positions,
Yeah.
and they teach you that. They get so into it. Sometimes one girl can have 2 or 3 guys telling her what to do, but they mean it for a reason.
Yeah.
You know.
What the first season though? What was the manning? What was the manning?
For each team
was-
had like 3, 4 coaches
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
first year.
Yeah.
Now it's growing. It's
but
like
the
8.
players though on the field, didn't that change?
Oh,
the
yes.
first year.
Yes, the first.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
First year we played 6s
Yeah, 6s and then
and 8s.
Yeah,
The first
okay,
year.
yeah.
Then the second year we just played 8s.
yeah.
Then our third year, which is last year,
Right.
we played 11 men.
Wow. So do you
It-
still have a lot of women that come out to join?
Yes.
You're still constantly
We-
recycling teams?
Yes, we try to keep our vets, as well as encouraging new ladies to come in and give the sport a try, because it can be intimidating to those out there who's having doubts. But they just need to come there, have confidence, and trust that the coaches know what they're going to tell them to do, so they won't feel like, I'm
I
going to
don't know
get
what I'm
hit
doing.
hard.
Yeah.
I'm going to land down and never get up. No.
And that's what I wanted to talk about next. There's a confidence factor. There were women who learned a lot about themselves on the field, which is, I think, the coolest, grooviest thing. That's one part of it. And then the fact that they're playing, this is like tackle football. This is not flag. This is not touch. This is like full tackle football. We're talking to Linda Salas. She is the godmother of women's tackle football on Guam. We'll be right back. We'll take a break. I'm eating. Welcome back. Welcome back. Tonight, our guest is Linda Salas, and she is the founder of the first Guam Women's Tackle Football League. And when you first announced the idea to Guam that you were looking for female players, these ladies were coming out of the woodwork. I know because I saw this all unfolding, and I thought, it is amazing to me. These are mothers, working women, all of them working women,
Yes.
people's wives,
Right.
that were coming out at the end of their busy days to play football.
Yes.
Did you see any, and a lot of them, and I've met a lot of these women, who never had the confidence in their ability, much less know the game. But I was watching them as the league was taking shape and these women were learning more, that there was like this confidence in them that went beyond the game and it went beyond the field. And I thought that if there was anything that this league did for women on Guam, was to give them that gift of confidence. Did you see that too?
Yes, because what I saw and witnessed for the last 3-4 years is, you're talking about students, doctors, teachers, lawyers on that field, to include ladies who are unemployed, but who love the sport. And then the ones who are unemployed freak me out, because when they're there in the sidelines, they're not in the best of shape. They've got a little bit, of, like, what do
I
we
know
call
what
it?
that looks. little extra something
extra pounds.
hanging on. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
But they love the sport so much that they're willing to learn it from their coaches.
Yeah.
And that's confidence there. How often do you see a girl who's want to go to the gym and work out?
Because
You
they want
hardly-
to, and they want to keep up on the field. They can't,
Right.
they don't want to be run over, and they want to be. If you're part of a team and you're a performing member of a team, you've got to pull your own weight.
Yes.
And in the world of women, other women don't like somebody who's just a hanger-oner and
Right.
is not going to pull their weight. And I think that that's a tough audience. Women are a tough audience.
Right. It's true.
Yeah.
I give a lot of credit to the coaches, because they make the women feel wanted on the field. Instead of saying, go and find your kind of workout, get in shape, condition, and come back. No, they're all going to treat all the players the same way across the board.
Was it harder to train women? If you took that one sentence out of the context of what we're talking about, that sounds bad. But was it hard to train women for this? I mean, as far as conditioning, and were they always receptive to the coach? Because all the coaches are male.
Yes.
Yeah.
They can be hard. There are some coaches that are very hard and very strict with their needs and conditioning. Some of the women, if they need to take a break, they have to. They got to slow down. They can't. They won't force them to overdo or overexert themselves for something they cannot be capable of moving beyond.
Yeah.
If you need to stop, stop. You need some water, go take a break and get some water.
Yeah.
But I have not seen any player who gave up. So whether she was running slow because she's not as fast as the other women who are very competitive, she still did it. And
Yeah.
that's what matters the most, is seeing that the coach says, look at this player. She's still hanging in there.
Well, the whole league has drawn a huge interest. I have been to the games where the parking is ridiculous. The spectators, the fans, I mean, it is such a beloved sport during the season that everybody turns out. And I think that these women also feel like most guys will criticize it. Like, hey, man, girls know nothing about football. Stay in your lane. You know, don't try to cross. This is our game, right? And predominantly it is a male, dominated sport. Then again, have you ever seen lingerie football?
Yes,
I got to
have.
tell you, it's a little misogynistic and it's a little sexist, but I tell you, those girls can play, though. They're
can.
really good players. They're athletes. They're
Right.
not little girls in
I've
bikinis.
watched their videos online on YouTube. I know that. I like to start something like that.
It's
but
indoor
it's not
and
meant
it's a
for
half
every
field.
woman. It's not meant for every.
Oh, these girls, and it's real. It's not like they're granted they're in lingerie, but they're padded, and they've got, and it's a half field and it's indoor, but they are.
Yes,
They're fierce.
right?
These
They're
girls are fierce, man.
Yes.
You can hear those claps on those pads, right?
Yes.
You can hear the
And you can even hear, even before the game, you notice they go in the locker room.
Yeah.
They get interviewed.
Yeah.
What do? They love to smash mouth the
Yeah.
team that they're going up against.
And so do you. And so do you. We have
Only
some.
in the NFL
No.
games.
I know that. See, I'm a big college football girl. I look forward to the college football season, which is before the regular NFL season. But when it comes around that time, July, August, you start really looking.
Right.
You start really.
Yes.
Are you going through withdrawals now? Are you like watching NFL Classic? ESPN Classic. When you need a fix, you got to go to ESPN Classic and watch
Right.
the old games.
It is.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
It is. But the sport has changed a lot, too. Let's just talk about the NFL for a second.
Okay.
We've got Deflate Gate. That's something different. So you got Deflate Gate. I don't know if you have any love lost for Tom Brady or the Patriots, but no comment? No smash mouthing here?
He's a good-looking guy, but it
It's-
kind of like he probably lost some his fan base because of what he did.
Yeah.
And
What he
sad.
cost the team, what he cost the league. I think it was more of what he cost the league. What he
So
cost the
I want to know: are they going to take his Super Bowl rings away?
Well, they're not going to take his wife away. But there's Deflategate, and then there's a big judgment on concussions in NFL. And now, when you compare watching football back to the days that you were watching, I was watching from the
Right.
70s. You were watching in the 70s. Had some awesome teams,
Right.
awesome legacy
Yes.
players. And you're watching the teams from the 80s, and you're watching it now. Does it feel soft? Does the game feel soft in the NFL?
What I've watched in the 70s and 80s, it was more harsh. I'm going to talk about some of the players. Mean Joe Green. He was one of them. Was so
Well,
fierce.
that's how he got his name.
Mean Joe Green.
That's how he got his name.
You don't see players do what
Yeah.
he did back then,
Right.
because of course the yellow flag will be thrown. The player will get penalty, probably to include a suspension for the next week or so. You don't see that. It's so strict now. We try to correct every behavior,
The rules have
discipline.
changed, yeah.
Yes. Back then it was what you want to see. You
Yeah.
can't see that now. But if you want to watch,
You
good
want to
old
see
classic,
that. You want to see the late hit.
Yeah.
You want to see him go after the quarterback after the play is stopped.
Mean Joe. If anybody wants to watch
Yeah.
what harsh football was, watch Pittsburgh Steelers versus Dallas, or anybody that's going to the semifinals or the playoffs, the wild cards, and then to Super Bowl. See how rough those games were
Yeah.
in the 70s. You're right.
Yeah.
The classics really bring a lot of attention.
And in this past season, you know, we saw a lot of stuff. Adrian Peterson, Ray Rice, all these boys falling to the off-field antics of professional football players that are, you know, spending millions of dollars. But now you've got, you know, it seems like the personalities that were, like, for example, Jameis Winston, the personalities like from Florida, you know, his introduction into the NFL, his whole reputation preceded him. The same for what's his face, the Cleveland Browns quarterback, that also came out of, you know, the other bad boys.
Okay.
So it's it's the other bad boys that come. Cam Newton, these boys that had a history in college football are bringing that behavior into the NFL. And then it just doesn't seem like anybody, like, I mean, it just seems like everybody's placing so much attention on that. Does that bother you? Does that bother you, the off-season antics or off-the-field behavior?
Well, you know, the players, they have their personal lives, you know, out of when it's off season. However, they gotta understand they still uphold a title, regardless if they're off season, and they need to project that image because you have this title and you're kind of like, you want your fans to like you for who you are. You're putting your name out there. If you go out and you do the bad stuff, whether it's, and I'm thinking like Ben Roethlisberger when he was, you know, when he won the Super Bowl, within that time frame when it was off season, I heard he was flicking off his, you know, to a young girl, and that made
Exposing
him
himself. Yeah, I remember that.
Exposing himself.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard anything about Cam Newton. He's a good quarterback. He really is. But I don't know if he had any record to.
Well, he had all of the scandal that followed him.
Is he one of the college students that got like gifts, benefits to his?
Well, you know, there's, you know, when he won the Heisman, Trophy, remember his father was out there. He was a big showboater, and it was really tough. Okay,
so I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean. So it's just these guys, they have a bad image that when they come into the NFL, but they were college players and they were young kids. Some of them shed it, some of them, you know, some of them got rid of it, and some of them keep it going. Anyway, besides that, you have any exhibition games coming up? I know that you did the Japanese girls came down from Japan to play the Guam girls.
We
Is that
have
going to happen again?
an upcoming exhibition game against Japan, Blaze Cats. There are two teams that come out from Okinawa and Tokyo sometime in July.
Yeah.
Details will be provided at a later date. But I look forward to that because, you know, now we're trying to decide what team we're going to make them play against with next.
Okay.
That's kind of hard right now.
So she might be calling you for sponsorships. That's the other thing, because that's how you make the money. That's how you definitely make the money. Listen, I want to thank you for coming. She's got a day job too. You want to tell everybody where you work?
No. I do.
Sure,
I work at Dodea.
Sure, so Dodea Schools.
At the district.
And you would,
office.
I mean, she's just got this quiet job. It's just, but catch her on the field, and you want to hear some big mouth football. This is that girl. Hey, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show, and thanks a lot to Kings and all the staff for all of the food. The chesa was to die for. Right?
Thank you. It was very good.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thanks, girl.
Patty.
Appreciate it.
All right. High five.